In this lesson, we'll cover generating pipe layouts. Now, the model we're looking at for this lesson is a typical restroom plumbing layout. We have supply lines, hot and cold water indicated by the red and blue lines, and we have waste lines, sanitary lines indicated by the yellow pipes. We're going to focus on the sanitary lines for this lesson. Typically, your plumbing sanitary lines will have slope. Now, these plumbing systems can be generated in two manners. One, automatically, where you simply select the plumbing fixtures and pipes and points within pipe fittings and let Revit actually decide the best route from point to point of how those plumbing lines and segments should be routed. Or you can do it manually by clicking the points from pipe fitting to fitting or from fixture to fixture. Typically, if slope is involved, specifically with your plumbing sanitary lines, it's a lot easier if you actually model this manually. Looking at the model on our screen, if you see thick lines, and the same true for any other lesson you look at, if the lines are thick within your model, you can do a multitude of things. One is you could, if you want, change the scale. Or two, you could actually just change the mode to include thin lines instead of thick lines. To do that, move your mouse all the way to the top of the ribbon on the shortcut bar and click Thin Lines. That will de-emphasize all of the thick lines for the visual perspective of what you're looking at. It doesn't change the scale and it doesn't change how it's printed. It's only visually. Now, looking at this plumbing layout, specifically the sanitary line, I see there are two water closets that aren't connected to the actual plumbing line. And I'll go ahead and zoom in to actually look at that. And I can see between the two water closets, we have some fittings. So we need to route a pipe segment from the fitting to the segment on the right. Now what I'll do next is I'll switch to a 3D view to see what these fittings look like between the two water closets. So in the project browser on the lower left, move your mouse to the plumbing section of the views, and then double-click 3D View Toilet Room. Here you can actually see there's a T-fitting with a pipe connected to an elbow. We need to route a new pipe from the elbow to the pipe segment on the right. Now at this point we have two views that were open, the plan view and the 3D view. Some people like to work with multiple views. It's called tiling. If you want to tile your screen right now, go to the View tab, then all the way to the right in the Windows panel, click Tile Windows. This will tile the open windows. I only had two, so it just tiled two, but if I had four, it would tile four. Now I'm going to work mostly in the 2D plan view, and I'm going to zoom in around the fittings between the water closets. Now at this point, I could route a pipe using the pipe tool, or you could route a pipe automatically from a fitting. We're going to do the latter. We're going to route a pipe from a fitting. So to do that, I need to first select the elbow in the view. And I'm going to do this in the 2D view. Now, if you're having trouble selecting something, specifically if you're looking at a realistic view or a shaded view, you may want to change the wireframe. To do that, I'll click the indicator on the bottom and change this from shaded to wireframe. This gives me more detail to select. And then I'll mouse over the outside edge of the pipe fitting, click, and I should have selected the elbow. To verify, I can see this in the 3D view. Now with the elbow selected, I'm going to right-click on the rightmost drag handle. When you right-click on the rightmost drag handle, a menu appears, and in the menu, you'll see an option for Draw Pipe. Click Draw Pipe. This will start to draw a pipe segment from that elbow. Now it should pick up the diameter, but just verify it on the options bar. It's 100 millimeters. Now all I have to do is drag my mouse to the right, pulling the pipe over to the existing segment. Now I'm rolling my mouse to zoom out, and I'm holding the wheel on the mouse to pan. And I'll drag the segment to the center line of the existing pipe, and then left click to draw the segment and a T connecting those two together. Now one thing I didn't mention was the slope. If I look at the ribbon right now on the very right, I have slope down selected, and I have slope value of 1% selected. So there's a 1% drop in the actual slope. You can also do slope up, or depending on what you're doing, you may need to ignore the slope if you just want to connect from point to point. So you could use that option as well. I'm done routing for right now, so click Modify in the upper left. Now, if I look at the T that was added, you may say, well, that T doesn't look like the other Ts that are currently in this piping system. Correct. The reason for that is the current routing settings for this pipe system for the T aren't set to the Ts that you see above. Let's undo what we did first, and then we'll change the setting. So to undo this, just go up to the shortcut toolbar on the very top, click Undo once, or if you click the Undo dropdown, click Pipe. That'll undo the pipe segment we just did, including the T connection. Now, let's verify what T we want. So I'm going to pan over in my actual plan view, click on the correct T, and make a note of what it is. Look at the Properties box on the left. It's an MT Sanitary PVC Schedule 40 Standard T. Click anywhere in the background to deselect the T. Now, to change the pipe routing, click on one of the pipe segments. With the pipe segment selected, in the Properties area, click Edit Type. When the Edit Type Properties window appears, to the right of Routing Preferences, click Edit. This is where all of the settings are set for what happens when you route pipe. The elbows, the junctions, the crossing, the transitions, all is set here for the automation of adding those fittings. Now, the fitting I need to change is the junction fitting. Right now, it's just set to an MT generic standard. But if you click it and click the drop-down, you'll see below that setting is the PVC Schedule 40 T connector. Select it, then click OK. Click OK again. Click anywhere in the background to deselect the pipe. Now, let's go back to that elbow again. Select it. Right-click on the rightmost T. Click Draw Pipe. Now, at this point, let's verify on the ribbon on the top that slope down is selected and a slope value of 1% is set. And then mouse over to the right as you drag your pipe and snap it to the center line of your pipe segment on the right. Doing so will again draw the pipe segment, but this time it draws the correct T. Click Modify in the upper left to end the function. So as a review, what we covered in this lesson was generating pipe layouts, specifically for waste sanitary lines that include slope. We talked about the different methods to create these piping systems, either automatically or manually, and discussed the probability that you'll want to manually model and create piping systems that contain slope, such as sanitary lines, because it's easier to control those slope values. We also talked about looking at multiple windows, tiling these views so you can look at two different views of the same thing once. We routed pipes from an existing fitting by right-clicking on the drag handle and then choosing Add Pipe. And we also looked at the pipe routing settings, where we could control what type of Ts, what type of elbows, and what type of pipes are actually being applied to our pipe system as we route our pipes.